Welcome to our audio recording of Purpose, Passion, and Progress, Piecing Together Success with SC. Episode 1, The Parenting Playbook and Blueprint. I laugh because really, there's never really a playbook to parenting. I think it's a lot trial by fire, trial by process, understanding that you're going to make mistakes, understanding that you're not going to ever be a perfect parent, and there is not a perfect parent. So I think, as you begin to learn that and you understand that, your child and your partner or your co-parenting partner, that's the best thing that you can have is a partner that is supporting you, you supporting them, and you all supporting the big picture, which is your child. And, you can't make it personal, whether you're with that person or not with that person. I think the agreement is that you all have a child. You have a responsibility to raise that child to the best of your ability with the support that you have. And I think so many times is that, we allow egos, we allow our personalities, we allow our feelings to really get in the midst of that, and that ultimately affects the child, and the child it has these traumas that sometimes you don't understand because the child is viewing that from their mindset and you're viewing it from an adult mindset. And so I think the best case scenario as you begin to parent or continue to parent is really understanding the what's best for the child and the expectation that you all want to have for them. So that's a little bit of snippet. The other thing is I just want to thank, and give Katie, her flowers, right? Because, she's been a great mother, a great co-parenter with me. I think that, to date, as our son is 11 years old, we support each other. There's not a time that, we don't look at it as, that, hey, this is what's best for Kason. It's not what's best for Steven. It's not what's best for Katie. It's what's best for Kason, Sebastian, Cornette, to ensure that we're parenting and leading in the right way. And I think that if you do that and you keep God first and you keep, your values the same and your child's understanding that, I think not only are you going to do a great job parenting, but it's going to make things easier for you and the other partner. So as we get into this, I want to talk a little bit about, my son, but also fatherhood, right? Being a father to Kason has been one of the most extraordinary responsibilities that God has entrusted to me. From the moment I first held, I knew that this journey wasn't just about raising a child. It was about guiding him in faith, teaching him how to navigate the word with love, the world with love, and ensuring he always felt safe in our home. My ex-wife, Katie Charlius, and I both deeply believed in the values we wanted to pass down. And to this day, we've committed to rooting our parenting in those pillars: faith, love, communication, consistency, collaboration, serving, sacrifice, and putting our pride and egos aside. Even though we don't always agree, we always put our differences aside and do what's best for our son. The first thing that, we talk about is faith, right? That's the bedrock of our foundation. And it has to be, right? Because if you don't have faith, if you're not grounded on something, what are you grounded on, right? It's almost like, building a house on the beach, right? With sand, all you have is sand. There's no, bedrock, there's no solid foundation. You're building it on sand and dirt. And that stability is eventually going to break at some point. So Katie and I have always been grounded in our faith, and we knew that when Kason came into this world, we wanted our faith to be the cornerstone of our parenting. Every Sunday as Kason grew older, we were in church serving God. A lot of times at Church by the Glades, shameless plug, not just out of routine, but because we wanted Kason to grow up knowing that faith sustains us. From saying our grace at the dinner table to our bedtime prayers, we continue to ensure that God is present in everything that we do. Katie and I often remind Kason that no matter what challenges that he faces, he can always turn to God for guidance and strength. Another one is love. That should be the prerequisite, right? If faith is the foundation, love is what holds it all together. Katie and I have been intentional about showing Kason love in every action, not just through words, whether it's Katie taking the time to make his favorite food, mac and cheese, or me flying to New York to cheer him on at his soccer game. That's how we express our love to him. We don't just say, I love you out of routine. It's backed by our presence, our time, and our efforts to truly know him. We believe that love must come before everything else. It's the prerequisite for discipline, encouragement, and understanding. Then the next would be communication, building trust with your child, right? As parents, Katie and I have always strived to keep communication open with Kason from the beginning. When he was young, we made it clear that he could talk to us about anything, his worries, dreams, his aspirations, and even some of his mistakes, because it's important to us that Kason knows that we're here to listen, not just to lecture. Katie has always been great at reading between the lines, knowing when Kason is holding something back. That balances between her emotional intuition and my straightforward approach has helped us build trust with him. Sometimes the roles are reversed, as was the case yesterday. And I'll give you, a great, a great description. They were at a soccer game, and Kason, he's very emotional, right? He's like his father, but they won the game. He got in the car, and Katie's talking to him. Hey, how'd the game go? How'd you feel? And then Katie asked him a question. Hey, can I give you, some pointers? Can I give you some advice? And Kason was like, yeah. And then as Katie starts to go into dialoguing about how Kason played, I think it was parts of him that then got almost like he was being attacked. And then Kason kind of shut down on her, and she called me, and we had some discussion, and Kason was explaining to me what had happened, right? He was like, mommy just doesn't understand. She doesn't understand, daddy. And as I told him, I said, hey, that's still your mom. There's still a respect level that you're going to give her. And although I know you may be upset right now, there's ways that you have to control that, because there will always be consequences and repercussions to your actions. And so, I just told him, hey, go home, get in a shower, and then reset. Because a lot of times is that we act off impulse, right? We do things, and, it's just, we act out of, we're upset, we're going to do this, and we go ahead and do it, instead of really reevaluating, why we're mad, understanding, some of those reasons. And a lot of times, when you cool off, or, you just, start to think about it, it's really not that serious. So all things ended up working well. Katie and Kason worked it out. But a lot of times that's the value of co-parenting, because if you don't have that communication with each other, that could have went to a whole nother level, and we just don't allow that to do it. So It's building that trust with each other, but it's also building, to my next point, the consistency, right? Consistency is like the anchor, because if there's one thing I've learned about co-parenting, it's that consistency matters. Katie and I have worked hard to be consistent in our actions, rules, and support for each other. Kason knows that when we say something, we mean it, whether it's about bedtime routines, how we handle discipline, or how we show up for him, we're consistent. This gives him a sense of security, knowing he can rely on us no matter what. Even when life gets busy or challenges, we make sure Kason never feels like our attention or our support wavers. And so that leads me to the next one, is collaboration, a family team. Katie and I see co-parenting as a partnership, not just between us, but also with Kason. We don't make decisions in isolation, whether it's planning holidays or navigating through choices like picking a school or dealing with bullies. Yes, my son was dealing with bullies. We'll talk about that on maybe another one, but we always involve him in the conversation. We want him to understand that his voice matters and that our family works best when we collaborate. Even though we don't live in the same household, this approach has helped him develop a strong sense of responsibility and ownership over his life. Katie and I feel proud when we see him apply these lessons we've taught him in this decision making. The next one is serving, leading by example. We believe one of the most important ways to lead Kason is by example, through service, whether it's volunteering at church, helping a neighbor, or just being present for one another despite not being together. We want him to understand that true leadership means putting others first. Katie has a natural gift for serving others, and Kason has picked up on that. Together, we've shown him that service is a core part of our family identity, and we continue to model it in our lives. Sacrifice, investing in him. Parenting comes with sacrifices, but Katie and I don't see them as losses. We give up personal time, energy, and sometimes even career opportunities to ensure that Kason had everything he needs. Katie has been especially amazing at balancing work and family, often putting aside her own needs to make sure Kason's are met. I've made sacrifices too, like deciding to let him move to New York or turning down countless job opportunities because being a dad and staying present in his life was more important. These sacrifices to us are investments in Kason's future. We want him to know that love often requires putting others first, and we lead by example. Creating a safe space, a home of trust and comfort. Lastly, Katie and I have worked hard to ensure that Kason always feels safe, whether he's in New York or home with me in Florida. We've made our home places where he can express himself freely, where he knows that no matter what he's going through, we're going to support him. Whether he's struggling with a problem at school or simply needs a quiet moment to think, he knows he has a place where he's loved and protected. Creating that sense of safety is our way of showing him that no matter where life takes him, he'll always have a foundation to come back to. Together, Katie and I, as co-parents, have built our family on these pillars. As we pray that as Kason grows older, he'll carry these values with him. We're not perfect parents, but every day we strive to raise him in the way that honors God, strengthens our family, and prepares him for the world. Being Kason's dad is the greatest blessing, and as long as we stay anchored in our faith and love, I know we'll continue to guide him in the right path. Even when we don't see eye to eye, we'll always do what's best for him. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank Katie. Also, I want to thank her husband, Alan. This has been the first episode of Purpose, Passion, and Progress, Piecing Together Success with SC. Episode 1, the Parenting Playbook and Blueprint.